How you doing and welcome to my channel. As you can see today I'm taking a look at the Hot Toys Johnny Storm aka the Human Torch from the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Quick look at the box there, you can see we have an image of the figure on the front there, and Hot Toys have taken some liberties with the photoshopping on the box art by putting in some real flames on his shoulders and his legs there, as opposed to the flame effects that come with the figure. So a little bit of a liberty taken. Not a fan of putting that photoshopping into the box art. Human Torch written on the side, MMS 789, and then on the back we have the usual details and information about Hot Toys. And while I pull off the slipcover, please don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And on the back of the box, under the slip, in typical Hot Toys Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine fashion, we have the Deadpool Wolverine logo and a picture of the figure, this case Johnny Storm, at the bottom. So there we have it for the art and the figure box. So let's move on, and before we get into the pan, I will mention that I do have a Deadpool and Wolverine, Hot Toys Deadpool and Wolverine playlist on my channel. I'll put it in the top line of the description of this video. This video will play first, this review will play first, and then there will be a reviews following for the rest of the Deadpool and Wolverine Hot Toys figures that I have. So here we are for a quick pan of Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch. So Chris Evans reprises his role as Johnny Storm from the 2005 Fantastic Four movie and its sequel in 2007. And in my opinion, the best live screen Johnny Storm we've ever gotten. I don't think any other Johnny Storm in live screen have ever come close to Chris Evans' portrayal as him. And I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me on that. And since his return in Deadpool and Wolverine, people have been asking, is it the original Johnny Storm or is it a variant of some sort? And according to Disney Wiki, he is Johnny Storm from Earth 121689, and he was sent to the void by the TVA after messing up his timeline. It's not stated how exactly he messed up the timeline, but that's what Disney Wiki says, and it's a little bit confusing because it says that, it also goes on to say that he got his powers of fire from being experimented on, but in a nutshell, it is the original Johnny Storm from the 2005-2007 Fantastic movies, because he is from Earth 121689, which is the Earth that the original Fantastic Four movies is set in. So, also according to Disney Wiki, Johnny Storm was supposed to show up in the end credit scenes of Deadpool 2 after Deadpool, this, you know, that end scene in the end credit scene where he goes around dispatching old characters. Apparently he was supposed to dispatch of Johnny Storm, but it never came to fruition. So there we are for a quick pan of Johnny Storm. So moving on, let's have a look at the accessories that come with him. So here we are for all of the accessories that come with Johnny Storm, and as you can see, I'm kind of struggling to get everything into frame. We'll start off with his hands. We have 5 hands with the wrapping still on them and 6 bare hands, and the reason for that is because if you look closely at the movie, when he does flame on, it's not only his cloak that burns off him, but the wrappings that are around his forearms and his hands all burn off as well, and he ends up without those with the bare hands. So Hot Toys have given options for pre and post flame on. Basically, the wrappings are a genuine real wrap. They're not plastic molds, it's real material wrapped around them, which is, you know, fantastic. It adds that extra bit of detail and realism. We have relaxed palms, kind of a really expressive open palmed hand, and then we have this unique finger pointing hand as well. So, and then we have some open palmed expressive hands without the wraps, some relaxed palms, almost like, you know, that you'd use if you're in flight, and then some closed fists. So we do have options there, and these wrappings here, as I said, they do come off the figure for pre and post flame on if you so choose. And then we have his flame on effects. We have 5 5 effects that wrap around the arms or the legs. These more open ones would probably be for the legs, this one here and this one here, and then the tighter looking ones for up his arms. And the instructions do state that you can put them on randomly. And then we have the shoulder flame on effect, which has a magnet on the back of it. Not a very effective magnet, I might add. Very, very weak magnet, but it is magnetized nonetheless, if you so choose. And then we have this one here that attaches to his arm to basically make it look like he's throwing the flames. Really nicely detailed, really nicely done, quite reflective. Not something I'd be inclined to use. We'll see how things go, but I'm not a huge fan of adding these plastic attachments to realistic looking figures. It just takes away from the overall realism of them. And then we have his cloak that we see him first off in the movie when he's introduced. It looks very accurate to me. There's some wires running through it as well. You can pose it about with the wires running through it, and even the hood is wired as well, just to kind of wrap it more around his head. So even the hood is wired as well, which, you know, there's no real issues with it, to be honest with you. It's accurate enough. Nice material. Again, not sure I'd be posing them with that. I think I might be posing with that, and there's a reason for that we'll get into when I get into the details of the figure. You know, I am considering posing them with that. And then finally we have his whirlwind base is the best way I can put it. Let me change the angle on that. So here we have the whirlwind style. Struggling to say that. Really well sculpted, really well done. Again, it's not something I'm inclined to use. If I was going to use one of the effects, it would be this one. It does look really well, and really, you know, adds that, you know, difference to the figure. It's not just a figure posing there. It does look well with you can see the footprints there. So you just basically grab the figure and stand him in it like so, to make it look like he's just taken off, and it really does work. It looks great. So it is something I would be considering. I'll have to decide, because kind of the flame on effects that attach to his body would be how you would use this as well. But if you wanted to put him in the back of a shelf and you have figures in front of him, it would be an option for raising up that figure. Really well sculpted. I like that. It's almost translucent. You can kind of see through it a little bit, and it's quite, like I said, it's a consideration. It is an option. It's nice to have options with these figures. So there we have it for his whirlwind. I keep struggling to say this. His whirlwind effect. So let's move on and have a look at his base. So here we are for the stand that he comes with. Hexagonal shaped, kind of like a Sideshow Collectibles one. Printed on name. I absolutely despise how cheap this looks. Very, very cheap looking when they do this with the bases and don't put an actual nameplate on. Fantastic Four logo on it, and Deadpool and Wolverine stamped on just below that. And this is textured. There's a bit of texture to it. You know, it's not just a flat sticker. It is a textured piece, but it's just very cheap looking and very, you know, very blah, I suppose. I think this figure should have come with a flight pole and a crotch grabber. The flight pole is ideal for stabilizing the figure when you're using this, you know, flame on effect, where you just kind of put it on the base like so, and you put the figure on and you stabilize him with the crotch grabber. But if you're not using that, he could have done with a crotch grabber, for, again, just for the option of just standing him up without the effects. So there we have it for the base. Moving on, let's take a look at the figure itself. So here we are for the Hot Toys Human Torch, pretty much standing straight up as he comes out of the box. And starting off in my usual fashion, we'll go from bottom to top, and we'll start off with his boots. One whole mold, as you can see. They've really been getting into doing this one complete boot as opposed to the split boot design. Very, very soft. Of all the figures I have with the one molded boot, this has to be the softest material they've used. It is really, really thin and soft. Really pliable is the best way I can put it. It's not flimsy, but it's really thin, and it's a step forward in the right direction for hot toys, in the sense that because the older ones like the Wolverine and that were a little bit thicker, that it did limit the articulation. The foot would tend to just bounce back to its original position, but they've softened the material to allow for the articulation to stay in place. And it does work, and it is usable now. So kudos to Hot Toys. Even though it's made of a really soft material, it's an improvement on the articulation in the ankles. So they are always innovating and moving on and fixing known issues if they can. You can see that the boots are quite well detailed. A lot of weathering on the toe area there. The laces are molded. Very nice relief on the top of the lace where it's tied off. There's that, there's that bigger relief on it there that you can move it about. Nice little detail of this kind of dusty reddish crimson colour just running through the laces and on the sole to give this weathered effect to them. The only downside to having such a soft material is that they do misshape or warp or deform a little bit when you articulate. It is a compromise that you have to make for having the articulation. So pros and cons, all the time with these things, but really well detailed boot, and I'm quite happy with them. The lace coming around the side of the boot and around to the back has the little bit of a relief off it. It's not flat in the mold, really nicely done. Then moving up to his cargo pants, and as anybody who's seen the movie knows, that these cargo pants were specifically and deliberately put in the movie, or he's wearing them purposely to make it appear as though we're looking at Steve Rogers. It looked like it was Steve Rogers when we first got introduced to him in the movie because of these cargo pants, and we didn't see anything else because of the cloak he was wearing. So we did think that it was going to be Steve Rogers, and even Deadpool thought it was Steve Rogers, and deliberately done for that reason, to misdirect us, because these cargo pants are something that Steve Rogers would wear. Really nice material on them. You can see that it has this ribbed effect on them, this soft plastic. It's like what the boots are made of. It's just put on them there to give it that texture. Functioning pockets, as you can see there, with a bit of bulk to them. You could fit a few things in those pockets if you so choose. I love this print running down them all as well, which is accurate to the movie. It's like a rubber that's printed onto them that really looks the part. And there is a slight bit of weathering, as you can see there. You can see they've faded at the back of them there, at the back of the legs, with some darker shades running through them, and at the back of the knees a slight darker shade as well. Like I said, a little bit of weathering through them, and this section here is all a little bit lighter, and it gets darker as they go down. So there is that little bit of weathering effect to them, and I've no complaints. Even the fit of them, because they're a bit loose on them, that there's no restriction to articulation. Maybe not so much the splits, but how much wider would you want his legs to go anyway? And then moving up, we have his utility belt. Quite accurate to the movie. It is all plastic sculpted, very soft plastic nonetheless, or should I say, but they're non-functioning, and it does have a little bit of weathering on the buckle there as well. And even through the pouches as well, there is a little bit of weathering and a little bit of scuffing done to them, and then a nice little effect of a moulded in buckle at the back. So exactly how it should look. No complaints about the belt whatsoever. Nicely sculpted and nicely done, and fits him nice and snug. And then moving up to his upper section, we have the Fantastic Four uniform top on that he wears in the original movies. Very well done, in the sense that it has some nice weathering running through it, because he is in the void. God knows how long he's been wearing it for. The chest is all weathered, and some weathering up in the bicep area and up on the shoulders as well. And it's a really, really nice material. It's hard to explain what kind of material it is. It's kind of stretchy. So again, the articulation isn't hampered whatsoever with this outfit that he's wearing. Really, really nice material. And again, we have these printed on sections for the design, just like he had in the original Fantastic Four movies. Really, really looks the part, really looks accurate. And then we have the Fantastic emblem on the front. And it's not pure white, it does have a bit of weathering in it. There's a little bit of scuffing and weathering on it as well, which really looks the part. It looks great. And before I go any further, I do want to address the elephant in the room, which I'm not sure if everybody's picked up on. I'm pretty sure everybody has. It's pretty obvious. And it's been mentioned in, on social media. So it has been noticed. His proportions aren't great. And I'm inclined to agree that his proportions are not great. You can kind of almost see the joints, where the joints are. But the biggest issue I have with this figure, if I lift his arms up like that, he has absolutely no lats. No latissimus dorsi there whatsoever. And it really, really makes the figure look bad with the lack of lats. Even though he has no lats, you can put the hands down by his side because he has no lats, but it doesn't look great. There's clearly something missing there from the side when he lifts his arms up, and his lats, his chest comes to here and then just ends. Nothing. No lats at all. And it really affects the proportions of the figure, and that's why I mentioned in the accessory section that I was considering posing him up with the cloak on, because it does obviously cover the fact that he has no lats, which is a little bit unfortunate because I do like this look. I do like the Fantastic Four logo and the outfit that he's wearing. So I have to do some thinking as to whether I'm going to compromise having a figure with no lats. His shoulders move quite nicely though. There is quite a lot of articulation in his shoulders, but that's probably because he has no lats. That's a lot of articulation in the shoulder area. That's quite impressive, to be honest. But that was at the expense of having no lats, and I would have preferred to have some lats, to be honest, and a little less articulation in the shoulders. I don't see any reason to have his shoulders coming that far forward unless he's doing an impersonation of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I don't know, but not overly impressed with the proportions in the body whatsoever. So moving on, let's get a close-up on this head sculpt and see what we have. So here we are for the Chris Evans head sculpt, and there was a lot of controversy over this head sculpt when the prototype was shown. It didn't look like Chris Evans at all, and Hot Toys reworked the head sculpt, and this is what we got in the end. I don't think it's too bad at all, to be honest, especially in hand. I think it looks like Chris Evans in the movie. I think the expression is what puts people off. I think the slightly open mouth is possibly what lets it down and doesn't quite do it. But to me, it still looks like Chris Evans. In hand, it looks way better than any of the photographs and any of the blogger photographs. It looks way better in hand. The hair is absolutely fantastic. Some of Hot Toys' best hair. I'll just bring the light up there so we can have a closer look at this. The hair, the mold is so well done. The definition in the hair and the depth of it, the separation looks absolutely amazing. Hot Toys always nail the hair, and I know I always say it, but they always do nail the hair. Some better than others, but they always nail it. Even the front of it here looks, the bushiness of it, and the separation, and how all the strands are there. It's really, really well done. The sculpt itself, like I said, I think the expression of the slightly open mouth is what kind of puts people off. You can see as well that he does still have. He had a lot of dirt in his face in the prototype, and the crow's feet, there was a lot of dirt on them in the prototype, but they've toned it right down. There's still a couple of spots of dirt on the forehead, very slight, very subtle, and there is a bit of dirt in the creases of the forehead and in the crow's feet, as you can see. So, the bit of dirt is still there, but nothing like what was originally shown in the prototype. And I think Hot Toys made the right decision to tone all that down. The sculpted short beard that he has, the thin beard that he has is done really well. Up to this slightly stubbly moustache he has. on the upper lip there is done really well. I'm not hating this sculpt in hand. I'm not hating it. I hating it. I think it looks well. I think it looks good for how Chris Evans looked in the movie, especially compared to some of the older Captain America head sculpts. I never really liked some of them, but this is fine. Is it Hot Toys' best head sculpt? Not by a long shot. Not the best sculpt that they've ever done by a long shot, but it is still quite impressive, and I'm quite impressed with it. I know exactly who I'm looking at. I know it's Chris Evans. I do wish it was a closed mouth sculpt. I think that would have made it a little bit different and a little bit more accurate looking if he had the closed mouth. But yeah, I'm still super impressed with it. I'm not quite happy with it. I think it looks the part. I can see people disagreeing with me on this. A lot of people have given their opinions online. I just wonder if those people have the figure in hand to disagree. But in hand, it looks absolutely fantastic, and the details are there as per usual with Hot Toys. And like I said, and I'll say it again, it does look like Chris Evans to me, like he did in the movie. The hair is amazing. I can't get over how well the hair looks. Is it how Chris Evans' hair looks in the movie though? No, I think his hair was a lot messier in the movie than it is in this figure, but I'm sure it's very difficult to make a messy hairdo in the like it was in the movie. So they've you know, I can see why they've made it like this, and it does look like Chris Evans' hair, if that makes any sense. But my biggest gripe with this figure is not the head sculpt. My biggest gripe with this figure, it's the lack of lats. It really destroys the proportions of the figure, and it even makes his shoulders look wider than they actually are without the lats. But as for the head sculpt, I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm quite happy with it. So as I said earlier, Deadpool Wolverine playlist, if you look at the description, that's pretty much it for the figure and, you know, the details. I've left up a couple of images. I did have a bit of fun posing them up with Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you made it this far, guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, and really, you know, it helps spread the videos and spread the channel. I am trying to grow the channel and get monetized. It's been a couple of years now and I'm still not monetized. So as I said, thanks very much for watching, and I'll leave it at that. Take care, and I will catch you in the next one.